welcome to this week's episode of Work the Left Side. I am honoured and a teeny tiny bit scared to introduce this week's guest. We have Freaky Felicia, part of the Freakshow, Axel's better half, I'm going to say, just not to annoy you. And hi.
I'm definitely the better half.
I thought it was a good way to start. I know what side of my bread's buttered. I'll be nice. Like I sort of said, I don't want any of the hoodoo voodoo coming through the phone. So it's obviously we had Axel on a couple of weeks ago. I've been speaking to you, trying to arrange the chat. So it's nice to finally get you on. Thanks for joining me for a chat.
I'm glad to be here, really. I did actually watch the interview with Axel and I thought it was very insightful. And I think these podcasts are just a great way to sort of help support the community at the moment and just get them people out there that are not necessarily just known yet, but they're ready to go. So I feel like this is really beneficial to do.
That's one of the reasons I want to do them as well, because it's no secret, I'm a massive mark for PPW. I love what Pursuit are doing. I think pretty much anyone who's involved in that school is going to be, if they're not already, big stars in this country, they're going to be in the next 2 or 3 years. And you guys are just making your way up and up and up. As seen by yourself, obviously Axel, Josh last week. You guys aren't just working Pursuit, you're working other promotions around the area, and I think the radius is going to expand. Obviously you had Tidal this last weekend.
Yes.
We'll talk about that first, really. Yeah. So how was the Tidal show?
Tidal was fantastic, and it actually ties in very much with PPW for me personally, because I wouldn't have been able to do what I could do without PPW, specifically as well Liam Slater. It feels like with wrestling I've had to hit the reset button, because when COVID hit, it was like starting from scratch again. And it came to I came into it with quite a lot of factors that would basically make it so if I did Tidal, say, within the first year of me being at PPW, I wouldn't have been able to do half as much as what I did. But I feel like I've entered Tidal at a good time where I feel confident in what I'm doing. I feel like the character's the strongest it's ever been, and just being able to work with so many amazing women on the show as well. I had some of my fellow PPW girls there, which were very supportive, like Resna and Natalie. And then I worked with Commander Sterling, and they are one of the people that I feel like I have best chemistry within the ring. So all those things helped me feel comfortable and welcome. But then there was a lot of new girls that I met as well, and I got the opportunity to work with, and it was really fun to see how unique everybody is, and basically understand that each character is different, but we've all got that same common ground that we love wrestling so much.
That's exactly how it should be as well. Like you sort of said, that's the awesome thing about wrestling. Is you can like this, you can like that, and it's okay, everybody can like what they like, kind of thing. But then like you say, all the characters are different, you've got your own mark, you kind of you stand out. I mean, I was talking about this with obviously with Axel, and it stands for you as well. You guys stand out because you're such strong characters. You are
quite cohesive as well, which makes the characters even stronger. We've got our own independent things going on, but they gel together. Because we're so traditional to what a freak show does, we're there to entertain the crowd, we want to be the main attraction. I feel like this is why the team works so well, because we fill different roles within the freak show, but then we're very cohesive when we're working together as managers or in tag teams. It just seems to come together really well.
Oh, that's it, and that speaks volumes again for character development. The hours, the days, the months, years you guys have put into developing those characters, merging those characters. I've seen pictures from Tidal. I wasn't able to make it. I really wanted to go, but I was or something going on the Sunday, so I couldn't make it. But I've been looking at the pictures. I've seen Axel outside the ring, so it's nice to sort of see him get some FaceTime in another promotion as well, and also just be there for you. You know, it must have just, you say, familiar faces.
Yeah, it helps having a familiar face there. Very much like with having Axel around, it does make things a lot easier. And also I can use him to my advantage while he's around. So I did actually get him to help out all the girls eliminate Sterling in the Rumble. Yes, got him to drag from the outside. So that was quite a fun spot to do. And then there's just little things of he can move me out of the way and stuff like that. And very much at one point, I was the only bad guy in there. So, you know, it can help even that out and protect me a bit more from if anyone likes to create alliances and things like that. I've got someone in my corner always.
It looks like an awesome show. Obviously, then the whole Freakshow thing. You say go into PPW in the first place. When you first went there, did you have, was Felicia in the back of your head? Was you already Freaky Felicia before you went to PPW, or was it something that was created there?
I was actually called Freaky Felicia, but I went down a little bit of I was in an experimental time with it. I didn't have like an established thing that I wanted to do. I just knew that I wasn't this Barbie girl character. I wasn't this very cheery facey girly girl. It just did not work for me. And I know that I've always had a little bit of freakiness with the way I move and the way I bend, with being quite flexible and things like that. And like my personal interests is like I love horror and things, so I wanted to incorporate that in. I'm obsessed with circus and clowns, where like I even had a go at doing circus for a bit on the aerial hoops and stuff like that. So it's the other factor that I wanted to bring into the wrestling because it's a character I enjoy doing, and Liam helped me try and figure out where to go with this character, because I think Axel may have already mentioned when we both started out as a Freakshow, we just thought we'll try it, we'll see if it works, and we both very much started down the spooky route straight away and have that heelish mentality. But as we can see with Axel now, he's very lovable. We look scary, but again, it's a quality of a freak show. We look scary, but if you actually talk to a freak show member, they're lovely people. If you actually like get to know them, and we kind of wanted to get that across. And now it's easier to be cheered by a crowd than it is to be booed by them, because because of that reason.
I say when you was all about Tidal there, you obviously working heel at Tidal. I was kind of curious as to see what kind of style you'd go into Tidal as, because I know like you say, it does work both ways. It's a very good kind of character. Same with Axel, where you can be the heel or you can be the face at any given turn. It's just going in one direction or the other, but they both work very well. So I kind of got the face vibe from the PPW videos I've seen. So how was it working heel then at Tidal? Was that a bit different?
It was quite different. I think the entrance is quite wasn't the establishment of us being heel. I feel like it was when I got in the ring, the heelish side comes out, because I could be portrayed as a lot more nasty or vicious, or I'm a bit underhanded with my techniques compared to Axel, where I will win at all costs. I don't care if I'm like doing dirty tricks and things like that to get there, or freak my opponents out in some way or another. So it was very much when I got in the ring, it was seen as more heelish. It was quite hard actually, because I do believe in the crowd there was still a few cheering, but I know there's a community of people that like this alternative scary stuff, or they like the guys that are bad, and it's that sort of LA Knight effect of the more you try and make them heelish, it can make people cheer even more. So the route we tend to go down is just be a character, be what's strongest for your character, and apply them to the scenario. And as long as we've got a crowd reaction, we don't mind what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whether let the fans decide. You can go out there, be a heel, or there's always going to be people that cheer. You know, it's very hard, especially with British fans. I know, like, we are fuckers for cheering the bad guys and sort of cheering the good guys. We just want to see good wrestling. We don't care if they're good or the bad kind of thing. It's every now and again, it's a show of appreciation.
Exactly. As long as they're making noise, that's all I'm happy with. When they start going quiet, that's the only time where I'm like, right, well, we need to get this crowd back up again because we've lost them somewhere. And it's just listening to them of what they're into. And I think that's why we're so versatile as well. We work on both family shows and like over 18 shows, for example. We listen to them and we learn what they want. And then we try and work towards that and highlight that.
Yeah, that's smart, you know, because you could get some people who are really stubborn with it, and they try and convince the audience to like what they like, or they try and curve the audience to appreciate what they're doing as opposed to changing what they're doing for the audience kind of thing. And to me, that's the smart approach. You know, the audience are there, get a response out of them by if something you do is not working, don't be stubborn about it. Again, change it and just get those reactions, which you guys, from what I've seen, everything I've ever seen on the Freak Show on YouTube and stuff, pretty much guaranteed you always get a reaction. So
yeah, I do believe that the other method does kind of have its purpose and it has its place, where people do try and get them to stick to their character because it's an art form. And I believe there is a balance with it of we will cater to the crowd as much as possible, but there is times where maybe you want to stay true to yourself so that the character is more believable. So I believe that technique is something that can also work for people.
But again, I suppose that comes with experience. So also, as a fan, I'm talking like in hypothetically, like, okay, if this and this. But I mean, it's you guys that are in the ring. You can gauge, when to do, have that mindset, when to have this mindset. Again, that's just stuff that you're learning from training, and just every time you get in the ring, it's more experience, and it's just like, you obviously getting smarter and smarter every time you do it.
Yeah, and it's completely different. The feeling of, to say PPW do the training shows, for example, that crowd is going to be very different to when you go out there. So you're going to pick up on techniques while in training on the training shows, but then it's different when you're out there again, and it's just learning how to be adaptable to that. And I feel like you have to experience it to be able to actually move forward.
Yeah, it's you learn by doing kind of thing. You can't sit there and read a book about it. You physically got to get out there, do it, and you learn it. And I presume then, obviously, like when you went to Tidal, you should say there's a few familiar faces there, but there's probably people that you've not worked with before, not seen before, kind of thing. Backstage, was it a case of just picking the brains? Did you just sit and listen to stories? Was there like? Because I'm getting a lot of the vibe I get is the locker rooms are very kind of cool nowadays. They're quite easygoing, and people, just easy to talk to people, kind of thing.
It's definitely changed, the locker rooms, because when I first started, it was a very different demeanour to how it is now. I think it is better now. I feel like people are more on the same page. I feel like people are being more professional about it. We're all there to connect and work together. So why would we not try and talk to each other backstage and try and build that bond? It was very good at Tidal when it came to planning and things like that. Everybody was in on it together. We all wanted to make sure that we put on a good show, and we're all making sure everybody's happy and comfortable with it. And then there was time in between to maybe talk to each other about experiences or a little bit about ourselves, just to get that vibe. And for example, for me, someone I really got along with was Rita Slayworth. And we got, like, it was as soon as you started talking to me, it was like that. It was just so easy to be like, yeah, we'll do this, and and then like I think she's quite a big character herself as well, but she's very different to me. But it came across because I did actually work with her a bit in the Rumble, and I feel like these things were quite highlighted, that what we was connecting with backstage was showing through in the ring. And I even said at the end I'd love to do a singles match with her at some point, because it'd be just such daft silly fun, and it's very much what we're here for.
Exactly. And like I said, if you find somebody or you start talking to somebody, that chemistry's there. Why would you not? I mean, hopefully, obviously, anybody watching who has got a promotion in their ear, get that match booked, because it's just, like I sort of said, the chemistry's there. The match is going to be very solid and just enjoyable.
We're very much the type of people that are not afraid to make a fool out of ourselves to entertain a crowd. We're happy to go there if we need to go there, and it would be very much a fun experience with her. There was a few others there that I thought would be quite fun to have a match with or maybe work with in the future. One of them was Artemis. I took an angle slam off her, and I was just like, this girl is strong. I want to do more with this girl. I want to see where this would end and where this would go. So like, she's another one that, from being at Tidal and connecting with people, I'd love to work with again.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, Tidal aren't daft. You know, the people who create the matches, plan the matches, do the stories. It's things like this that, you know, they'll spot, they'll see, and they'll be like, right, that's a future match, that's a future show. We can do that at some point. I'd be very surprised if either of those matches don't happen at some point. You know, at the next several Tidal shows, kind of thing. So it's stuff like that people pick up on, you know. So you can't hide chemistry. When people click, it's there. I hear nightmare stories from some people about rumbles, you know, being in a rumble. It's just so many things, so many moving cogs, you know, that could possibly go wrong. How do you, obviously, I'll mention this because it was the Tidal show, but how do you find being in the, you know, in a rumble? Is it that much of a ball ache, or is it just like, it's fine?
I think if there's a proper structure to it and you know who you're working with, it makes it so much easier. I feel like if you structure it too much, it leaves a bit too many problems to occur. Like, if you're trying to plan to a T, then obviously you've got that many people to try and deal with. Something's bound to go wrong. But also, if you underplan it and you just go out there and do this, it can sometimes end up very samey. And one of the things that was prevented in this rumble was me and Commander Sterling had a character spot where we were doing a chokeslam 101 session, where Sterling was teaching me how to do a chokeslam, and we brought Axel into the ring, and Sterling obviously did the chokeslam, doing all the teaching points. And then I just picked him up and go, oh, so you do it like this then? And then I picked him up and gave him a chokeslam. The crowd loved it. They loved it. I don't think they expected me to chokeslam my own partner, but because we are clowns, we're daft, and we like to do that sort of thing. It captures the essence of what like a duo clown pair would actually do. We would be silly with each other and things like that, and it wouldn't lead to any sort of malice between each other or any tension. We'd just get on with it, and you know, it's like oh well.
It's like a pie to the face. You just get over it, you smile, move on.
Exactly.
And then obviously Sterling, you know, they're awesome. I've seen Sterling numerous times at True Grit. It was nice to see them on the Tidal show as well, kind of thing. So I think it's just always nice when people turn up in other places and on different promotions. So obviously, you know, we've got First Pursuit coming up soon as well.
Yes,
it's quite nice to see you guys turning up at like True Grit shows, Tidal shows, you know, UKW shows, and anywhere else. Because if people see you at those shows and like what they see, their eyes will then be pointed towards Pursuit, you know, in September.
Yes, we've got a lot of big moves coming up on which would very much help with that. We've got people coming from all over on it. I've always said with Pursuit that with the amount that they have done for me personally, and with the training and helping me find my feet, and I can't thank them enough for what they've done. I want to be there to watch the progress of the place. I want to be there for all those moments of like when training started getting to the point where we're having training shows. I wanted to be there for it. I wanted to be a part of it. And now we're getting to a stage where we're actually having our first show. And I just want to support our little community there, whatever the role is. I'm just happy to be there. And even if I wasn't on, I'd definitely be sitting in the crowd supporting everyone that's there.
Yeah, that's what I love. Like, it's obviously, I've mentioned it before. Anybody that I've talked to from Pursuit, like the social media game is so on point. It's unreal. I know Nathan obviously gets all the credit for the social media side of things. But yeah, you look at the Instagrams, you look at the TikToks. I just think it's good for Pursuit, but it's good for you guys as well, because obviously the TikToks are just full of reels of you guys, going through like the moves or in training and stuff like that. And it's just nice to see you guys. Like, from a fan's point of view, it's a look behind the curtain. You guys in training, and we just get to sort of experience it through you a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like the reels are really good because it's capturing a crowd in this day and age where their attention span might not be like fully there to watch a full match. So it's like, here's a snippet of what we can do. And I know that in the comments there's a lot of people that ask where the training location is, and like I see them asking questions about like how old do you have to be to do it. So I feel like it's reaching that bigger audience, and that's what's amazing about this place. It just keeps growing, and it's growing on positivity, where everything we do is we help other people in many ways that we can. If we have got something that someone else maybe not be able to do, it's like we want to help the person that wants to learn it, and it's wonderful. It's like Nathan's really good at doing all of the social media side and sort of running it as a business and keeping it maintained. He's absolutely phenomenal at doing that. And then having the team with Liam is very much his heart's in the actual coaching and the training and the wrestling, and he wants to see people do really well. And I feel like that's an infectious attitude to have, because I really want to see people doing well as well. So it's like, it feels like we're in the right environment, and it's like they've got the right principles.
You've just mirrored. I obviously spoke to Kemper last week. I did a little clip, like a 40-second clip of the chat, and it was literally of him saying, it's very contagious there. You just want you're happy because other people are doing well. It elevates each other, kind of thing. And yeah, that's just what shines out. I think that's why I like Pursuit so much, just because it seems such like a positive place. Everybody's there for everybody. It feels like a real family. Or I know you guys are known as the Freak Shows, but obviously any wrestling school is just a massive freak show where it's just a bunch of misfits all coming together and being a big family.
It is. It definitely is. When it comes to Kemper as well, I've got so much respect for him. I've worked with him a couple of times at training, and I get along with him really well. He's a really nice guy, and I think he does embody what PPW stands for. There's a lot of people there that are very similar as well, where we're all on the same page with it, and it's just wonderful to see. I love having this little PPW family. It's such a nice feeling of looking forward to going to training, but not just to train, but just to see everyone and interact with everyone, see how they've been and all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely fully agree. Like I say, I've spoken to, I've obviously had the pleasure of speaking to, like, say, Kemper, obviously Alex, Alan Kay a while ago, Nash. It's just everybody. I think everybody I've spoken to has legitimately just been an awesome human being, which I think is the best compliment I could give to anyone, kind of thing. But away from PPW, let's tick the generic boxes. Okay, so wrestling. Did you watch it as a kid? Is it something you grew up being a fan of? What got you into it?
Definitely watching it as a kid. I was 9 years old when I first started watching it. And I should mention this now because it might clear up a few of the other generic questions, but I'm very much like, it was my special interest because I'm autistic, and I very much hyperfixated on it, absolutely loved it. And I said to myself that if I still love this by the age of 16, I'm going to see if there's a training school to do it. I still loved it by that point, so I thought, right, I need to start looking for somewhere around Sheffield or Rotherham, as you know. And this was quite a while back. I did start at RPW, Rebel Pro Wrestling. And I was trained under Blondie Barrett and Adam Kilby, the very British style of wrestling, and it gave me you know, an appreciation for that style when I very much, as a child, watched WWE. But I loved the pantomime side to British wrestling, and I feel like it helped me fuse the two together and helped me be who I am today as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you speak to anyone, you know, the character's a character. You can work on the character, you know, but you've got to have that starting block. You've got to have that foundation, that understanding of just pure wrestling before you start messing with it, before you start, you know, creating characters and X, Y, and Z. So yeah, through Rebel, you know, that's obviously you've got foundations. You start building the groundwork up, and then yeah, that allows you to create a character.
I do believe that it was very much Ollie that said this, and I saw it as a post on social media. It's learning to work inside the ring and inside the box before you can start thinking outside the box. So it was learning all the fundamentals and how everything works and where you'd place certain things in matches and learning all the basic moves and things like that. Having that knowledge was very much what I started out with. I started out with very generic characters and things like that to find my feet. But then when I got to a stage where I had quite a good understanding of what went on inside the ring, that's when the characters started coming in. That's when I started being unorthodox and thinking outside the box. I learned the rules and then I learned to bend them accordingly so it would still work in a match situation.
That is a really good way of kind of explaining it. Yeah, you learn the rules, you know, how everything works, and then you learn to bend it, you learn to manipulate it. You can kind of stretch it out or just make it work so it works for you in any given match or to fit your character.
Exactly, it's exactly that. And like I said before, I got to PPW, I was very much in an experimental phase, and I see a lot of wrestlers go through this experimental phase and they get a little bit confused, or they're like, am I doing things right? And I'm like, it's normal to be feeling like that because you're trying to find your feet with what you're doing. I very much felt like it myself. It's a very important part of the process for me because it's just showing that you're learning. It's very much trial and error of what's going to work and what's not going to work.
It's literally, yeah. I think when we were speaking to Axel, you know, he sort of says, you know, you get like 30 ideas, you throw them at the wall, and you see which ones stick, and then you kind of use those to build upon, kind of thing. So yeah, don't be scared to try something. If it doesn't work, you can just try something else, and you just you see what works, what doesn't work, and obviously that's the thing as well now, with you branching out into other promotions, doing this, that, and the other. It gives you more scope to see what works, what doesn't work, or something might work for one audience, but it wouldn't work for another audience. So then you kind of have to cater it depending on what promotion you're at.
Yeah, I'd say a big example of this is when me and Axel work on Spectrum. It'd be very different to working on Rise, for example, because it's very much Shakara style wrestling on Spectrum, and it's where my hypnotism was born. It was actually suggested by Doris to do because of the spiral on my nose. He's like, oh, so you do some kind of hypnotism or something. Could you do that as a manager spot? And I'm like, never tried it, but you know, I love jazz stuff and I'm here for it, so I'll try it. And it became a thing since then. But then maybe I'd not use it at Rise. It's not that I'd get rid of it completely. It's just
Tweak it.
Crowd would want at Rise. They're an older 18 plus deathmatch style. You know, they might just see straight through it and it might not sort of land with them. But
I don't know, if you tie somebody to run through a table, I think you'd still get a pop.
That is very true. The opportunity is still there. There is some open spots that we could try with that.
But yeah, I'll tell you, and just to mention Shikara, that's a totally sort of out there, but very entertaining, very enjoyable style. And yeah, I can kind of see that all over, you know, some of the stuff that I've seen. And but then, like you sort of say, yeah, you go to Rise, you could do it, but you'd do it a little bit darker.
Yeah, it'd be more sinister. It would feed into that sinister side that a lot of them seem to like to go for.
Yeah, Rise is a very sinister audience. They're lovable, but very, very sinister when it comes.
Just very different to Spectrum.
Yes. That's good. But then again, you probably be, it's like I'm quite happy going to watch a family show. I'm quite happy going to a Rise show. I'm quite happy going to. I used to love Tidal when it was at Leeds University, kind of thing. Obviously, Parish is great, but I first started going to Tidal like many years ago, and yeah, that's always one of my favourite venues was the Leeds Uni one. It was just, yeah, it was just an awesome venue, but it wasn't a Rise audience, but it wasn't a family show audience. It was somewhere kind of in the middle. It was just a appreciative audience. Yeah, I think there's that many different kinds of shows. It just gives you an opportunity to try different things. Like you sort of said, and you create the character to fit that promotion.
Exactly. And being a fan myself, I very much appreciate all the different styles of shows. I want to experience all of them. I want to have a go, and I'd like to see where Felicia fits into all these different companies. I would like to see what she'd do there. I usually have an idea of like if a promotion does get in touch, I'm very much like, right, I have a vibe of I know about this show. I feel like this would work there. And like I said, the fan in me sort of comes out and I'm like, this would be really fun to do, and I'd love to try everything. Just want to try everything with it.
That's exactly how it should be, though. That's the kind of enthusiasm that just makes it fun to do, but it gives you that determination to do it as well. I don't want to do the character comparisons. It's just too lazy. But in regards to working on different formats, I'm going to use Harlequin as a point of reference. I'm going to hate myself for doing it, but it's like Harlequin works on the 90s Batman animated series, which is aimed at kids. It worked in like Birds of Prey. It worked in the Arkham games, which are like really dark and sinister. So I think, yeah, a character can work. It can be family friendly, or it can be, just that dark and sinister and menacing as well. It's just tweaks here and there.
Yeah, I don't mind you using the comparison because I've obviously got some kind of inspiration from the DC clowns. Very much the Joker. I feel like when me and Axel first started, we joked about actually swapping the roles around, where I'm more Joker and he's more Harley, just more out of the being mentality and the intelligence of I'd be the manipulative one. I think elements of that still come through now, but it's that adaptability again, and it shows that a character can adapt to certain crowds.
That's it. I mean, that's the awesome thing as well about having a character. You've got that freedom. It must be nice. It must be kind of like make you a little bit nervous as well, because you're kind of like, well, I need to change it, but how do I change it? And if I do change it, will it work? But again, it goes back to trial and error, like you said. I suppose you've just got to have the bottle to do it, which you obviously have, because you're messing with the character and tweaking them.
Yeah, I believe that very much when it comes to character work as well. You can sometimes get trapped in being one note, and it's just looking for them depths. And I think that's why creating a story behind your character is so important. And you have your values of what they would stick to in any scenario, which is what Felicia does. I use this example to people when I'm describing her. She wouldn't, like, say she had to choose between a championship and a freak show family, she'd go for a freak show family. She's mother freaky. She's the one who wants to like look after her own people. So that was like something that's quite in depth and always in the back of her mind in a match. Does she want like her freak show in danger for the sake of something that's an inanimate object in her eyes? We still want to be out there and we want to entertain a crowd, but at what expense? So that was something that's like tries to stop it from being that one dimension of, oh yeah, I'm this freaky character that's just going to go get the belt.
You kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like I was talking to somebody else previously, and they was all about the best thing when you're creating a character is not just creating the character, it's creating an origin story for the character, because that gives you something to, like you said, it just gives you your morals, it gives you your moral compass, what the character would and wouldn't do. You can bend it as you sort of said, but you've got those set principles based on your origin story for the character.
Yes, and having morals and principles is the key to being able to be relatable to a crowd, where a crowd can get behind you and go, I can relate to that. I'd do that in that situation with a family friend, or it connects to a part of their personality in some way, and then it creates this more engaging feeling when watching the match and watching the story of how they'd react in that situation, and it can be relatable to them.
That's it. And then at that point, you've got the palm in the, you've got the audience in the palm of your hand. And obviously they're emotionally invested in the storyline. They're emotionally invested in you and your matches and your work. And you basically got them, and that's it. Then you've got the audience on the edge of the seat, which is where you want them to be. So that's awesome. I just like the whole origin story idea. I think sometimes people don't look at that when they're creating characters. They're looking at like just the character and what they would do going forward, but they're not looking backwards.
Yeah. I think that one of the most helpful things to me was, what characters do you feel like you resemble the most, especially looking outside. You can look in wrestling with it, and there's people that are relatable. For example, my favorite wrestler of all time is the Boogeyman, and that comes through in like my body popping, but not so much in the way my face is and things like that. I've just got that creepy element. But I feel like you can only go so far looking at another wrestling character without accidentally turning a bit too much like them. Unless that's something you want to do. I know that would be something that people would be interested in, and it's living out their dreams that way, which is absolutely fine. But for me, I want to be my own entity, and I feel like the ways to do it is looking at the films you watch or TV shows that you watch, and if there's any characters there that you feel like you relate with, and you see what they do and you take that back with you, and you just have elements of all these different characters that make you who you are, and then you become your own thing.
So yeah, I totally agree. You want sources of inspiration, kind of thing that you can just pick bits off from here. So that makes me think then. So obviously, as a wrestler, I've asked a few people this question, like, can you watch wrestling as a fan now, or do you find yourself sitting there critiquing it? But it branches out now as to what you sort of said. Can you watch films, or can you watch TV and just enjoy them, or is the wrestling brain always on and you're thinking, actually, hang on a minute, I could use that?
I would say the wrestling brain's more on than it is off. Especially if I am watching wrestling itself, you can't help it. When you've been doing it for as long as I've been doing it, it's hard to turn off. Sometimes I wish I could just engage in the story and just see it from a fan's point of view, but having that knowledge, it's just very hard to turn off. And it's the same when watching shows. I think it's a bit easier to sometimes turn it off there, but especially if we're watching something that does relate to our characters. For example, like, I'm obsessed with the American Horror Story Freakshow, and Elsa Mars is someone that I looked at maybe having elements of her into the character, so it'd be hard to then enjoy that show without looking and going, oh, I could do that, maybe that could be brought into it. And especially when I've got Axel sat next to me, he's thinking the exact same things about elements for his character and things like that. Sometimes we even end up talking to each other in character, just practicing it around the house. I feel like it helps develop it, but it's becoming a habit at the moment, and I've noticed recently it's more frequent. I don't know whether it's because we're getting booked more, or if it's because we're finding our character more. We're just literally around the house talking as Axel and Freaky to each other all the time.
I just hope your neighbours can't hear. I can just imagine like just hearing like just these random ramblings through the wall and just being like, yep. The freak.
Axel, it can get loud. Even if something as simple as bringing the washing in, and I'm sure people around us have no idea what's going on in our garden. But I quite like that at the same time. I think it's quite funny.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I think that's brilliant. I actually love that stuff. But yeah, you sort of say, like, American Horror Story, Freakshow. It's just so much. You can just sit there and just write pages of ideas and characteristics from this, that, and the other kind of thing. Again, I've mentioned this when I was talking to Axel, but I've only just recently got around to watching the Terrifier films. Then obviously in the second one, I'll take it you've seen them.
I have not actually seen them. I keep watching clips everywhere, and I'm been meaning to sit down and watch them because I think he's great. I've been watching I've been watching a fair few clips where you get the 5-10 minute snippets of scenes. I'm like, I just need to have some time to just sit and watch it fully and enjoy it as a fan of horror films anyway. But I can guarantee I'll probably sit there and go, I could
Well,
do that.
in the second one, he's got like a girl counterpart, and that's what just made me think. I was like, okay, cause yeah, art's in the it's only art in the first one, but in the second one, yeah, he's got a female counterpart that kind of causes chaos with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just kind of obviously got the Felicia, Axel vibe very much when I've seen clips, kind of thing. So again, it's just something. I could imagine you watching it and then just being like having a pen and paper and be like, yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that.
I believe that would happen as well. It would definitely would.
So you've obviously, well, you sort of said, you and Axel just bounce off each other. It's not even just when you're at training anymore. It's become like 24/7. Around the house. You guys that must be really good though as well. I say it must be times when you probably just want to switch off, but you can't. But it must just be nice, yeah, to have that back and forth and just have somebody to bounce ideas off of.
Since we got very much into these characters, we've got to a stage now where we can switch in and out of it quite easily. And I think the thing I struggle with most to come out of is the body movements of all these sort of things. I'll find myself around the house doing spooky fingers and things like that just while I'm going to pick something up, and because I very much throw myself into the body movements that much. When I come back from a show, I'll find myself still walking a bit like it, or like the body moving a bit like it. And I know that when it comes to Axel as well, he'll still have bits of the voice still there. And like, it's just very hard to switch off.
I was gonna, yeah, because I know at certain points, when you speak to, I've spoken to other people who, are very character-driven kind of thing, and they kind of find they have items of clothing or a mask or something that they're literally like when they take off a pair of glasses or they take off a certain coat, the character just drops like that. They're able to just revert back to normal. And obviously, yeah, obviously you've got the face paint, you've got X, Y, and Z. But it sounds like that's not the case with you. You don't take the face paint off and then you're just back to normal again, kind of thing.
No, I keep it on. I think it's because when it comes to my character, I very much practiced or a lot of training where I don't have the face paint and things on. And people still say I look freaky and creepy while I'm doing all my things, but that's a positive sign that it's working, that I wouldn't need all this on and I could still get the character across. This is just so the audience in the back can see and just sort of fit in the role a bit more. But like, I would be able to do it without the face paint, but I know there's a lot of people out there that feel more in character when they have it on.
Yeah.
I know it's just different for everyone. I know that Axel is more Axel when he has his mask on, but I feel like that's becoming less and less lately of just being able to switch into it. It was the same for me when I did start doing this character though. I very much had to have the face paint on to do it, to have the confidence to do it and just embody and believe that I'm actually her, to separate her from who I am. But now it's just a lot easier to switch her on if I need to. It's usually I have little routines backstage, or if I'm at training where I start doing the twitching and all that sort of stuff, and it brings her on. It just little movements like that my technique to switch her on, which I think's quite a useful thing over the years.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like I said, with some people, it's like putting on a pair of glasses or a coat or something. Yeah, it doesn't have to be an actual item. It could just be like, so say you do a certain movement or a certain sequence of movements, and that turns it on, kind of thing, and then boom, you're there. So yeah, that's cool. I've never heard that before, to be fair. So that's awesome. That's a different way of doing it. It's a different approach, but obviously it works. And it's good that you can kind of turn it on and off like that, because you never know when it's needed in a show, kind of thing, or you want to turn it up a level.
Yeah. I learned the technique from Randy Orton. I watched him on a documentary of when he was saying how he gets into his character. I didn't realise there was so much work towards switching from him to the character, but it'd be making these aggressive noises, it'd be changing his breathing and changing his demeanor. And as he was doing these breathing techniques and this vocal technique, you could see in his body he was lifting up bigger and it was becoming the character that he is. So I thought it was really useful to use.
Yeah, see, that's surprising. It's cool. Massive fan of. I know he's one of these. He's a bit like Marmite, but I've always got a love for Orton. But you kind of at first glance you just think Orton's Orton. I don't really think of him as a character kind of thing, but it does make sense. You know, like especially when he's working the Legend Killer and stuff like that. I suppose, yeah. You know, he was having to. It's a good exercise to be able to. Right, I'm not this guy anymore. A few deep breaths, this, that, and the other. Game face on, kind of thing.
Yeah, he was a unique one. I didn't expect it from him to have a technique like that. So it was quite insightful to then translate that into my character, which is so different from his. But it shows how it's possible to like even take things from unconventional places and make them your own.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, if you can, you know, Orton's coming out with pearls of wisdom like that, then and you can use it to your advantage, then you know you'd be daft not to, kind of thing. So obviously going forward, you know, we've got First Pursuit, we've got Tidal. Anything else on your radar? We've got Spectrum. You know, obviously there's other promotions as well. I don't want to miss any of them off. I'm not trying to besmirch any of them, but it's just ones that are on my mind. What's next? You know, what's next for the Freak Show? You guys taking it on the road further, or are you recruiting any? Now Kemper's lost a belt, you might be open to joining the Freak Show.
I have discussed it with briefly with Kemper that I personally love him to join the Freak Show. Just out of he's a troubled character. His society's abandoned him, and that's pretty much what happens in a Freak Show. Society doesn't accept you for who you are, but Mother Freak is here to take them in, to take any of those characters sort of in. We are selective about who we have in the Freak Show, but he fits the role quite well. Emotionally, but also I'd say from a more sort of surface point of view, he's very much a strong man. He is a machine. He is that sort of threatening, intimidating character. So he was one of them. I was actually discussing this with Jack Bandicoot at Planet Wrestle. So that was one of the shows that we did recently, and we were talking about venturing out and having because there's been freak shows at other promotions. We would be happy to join with them freak shows as like a traveling passerby thing of if we do that show, we team with them at that show, and then maybe it'd just be me and Axel somewhere else, or we'd have someone else that might engage with us on another show. We're happy to do that. We love the idea of it expanding. So it's full of possibilities with it. I'm happy to listen or hear anyone out who would like to be a part of it.
That's the thing. I mean, yeah, you know, we've spoken about, it's come up before, especially when I was speaking to Axel. So it's like the key thing is, you know, not to dilute the Freak Show. You don't want to just get people involved for the sake of get people involved. Obviously, you want to keep it strong at its core and just get people involved who would make it a stronger faction. That's what it is. You know, that's what it would be at the end of the day. It'd be a wrestling faction. And I've said it before a few times now. I just want a really good faction just to run roughshod across the country. Yeah, like I said, if there's other little bits of Freak Show everywhere else, you two guys or anybody else that joins, you could just, like say, travel. It is a Freak Show. You would travel around.
Yes, and I feel like we'd all fit in quite well together. You can't have too many clowns in a Freak Show, I don't think, because there's several acts if you look into circus and things like that where there's actually clowns that work together, or it's like I started out as more ringmaster role, and I am still ringmaster, but she's more delusional, thinking that she's got control over the Freak Show when it comes to the actual performance of it. But she doesn't have as much control as what she believes she does. But I could take a step back from that if there's someone there that's sort of fits that role more, because I've got that freaky aspect. I've been told that I move quite like a spider lady and things like that. So I would make it adapt to whoever we've got there. If I feel like it's a strong enough faction to work, we're happy to adapt accordingly.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And that's the thing. I mean, you guys you're smart enough, you know the characters enough to be able to, again, as you sort of said, bend the rules, manipulate it to fit any given promotion that you went into. And yeah, I don't know, I just think it would be awesome. I'd just love to see you guys venturing around all over the shop, and just because at the end of the day as well, you guys are the kind of people that I would want on a wrestling poster. If I was running a wrestling promotion, I mean, I'd want the Freak Show front and center, or on a wrestling poster, because that's going to get eyes on the prize. It's going to get people to the show.
It was mentioned about the Tidal poster. That was one of them that stood out quite a lot on it, just because of how I look, and I feel like I have a certain mystique for people who have not seen me perform before. Of, I wonder how they're going to be. I wonder what their style's going to be in the ring. Because it's such an unorthodox character. Is it like you'll find that a lot of people who go the clown or circus route or anything like that tend to be quite death matchy or the brutal heelish, but we are so different from that. We're kind of like scare actors that you get in a haunted house or like at Universal Studios. We're more that vibe, and we're just here to entertain, and I feel like that shines through a lot if you do actually come and see what we're about. It's just having that chance and that opportunity, and I feel like on the poster it
pulls people.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to say it does.
Oh, definitely. So I mean, from a fan's point of view, from people I've spoken to, and definitely, yeah, you on the title poster, it pops huge, and I know a few people it got their interest, kind of thing, definitely. Because that's at its carny roots, that's what a wrestling show is. It's a circus. Yeah. It should be loud, it should be bright, it should be you should have those characters on the poster. For me anyway, personally. I know a lot of people kind of they just mark out when they see actual characters, because again, there's a lot of just I don't want to say, there's a lot of normal looking people on wrestling posters, and they all kind of blow into one over time. So when you get somebody who stands out, it pops huge. So that's what I think you guys do from my point of view.
Thank you. We're happy to hear that, because that's something we want to highlight with us, knowing it's our strength. It could be that the wrestling scene is changing. I know that we went through a few years of quite a big phase of people being into indie wrestling, and I think that's where these more sort of normal characters come from. But I feel like we're transitioning into character stage now, where I've heard that when it comes to fan reactions lately, they're wanting these big characters. And I'm very grateful that I'm here in this time when it's going to be quite a big thing, because right place at the right time with it, really. When it comes to the title poster, though, I believe that diversity is a massive thing for me when looking at a wrestling show. I'd love to see a poster and have all these different elements on there. So it's like, it's cool to have some people that are more themselves, but it's nice to have all these other big characters as well. Doesn't have to be alternative, it can be anything. It can be, like I said with Rita, she's pretty much does this housewife gimmick, and she does it very enlarged. So characters work that way. And then I think just for another one that I'd noticed on the poster myself was Bo. With her having the pink and the blue hair and things like that, I was like, I'm quite curious to see what she's going to be like, what she's going to bring to the table. We obviously know Commander Sterling, but they're so out there with their character to like the extreme. It's wonderful to see. I love that diversity being on the show.
Yeah, I think I remember first time when I went to a True Grit show and Sterling came out, I was just stood there watching, and I was kind of people watching as well, just to see the reaction, because you sort of say they are just so there's diversity as diverse as one person can be in just the appearance. I mean, like you got the shiny silver suit, the tutu, the star mask. I was just kind of watching them and then watching other people as well. And they're just proper like, and that's what it is. It's entertainment at its best. It's people in costume. It's good guys versus bad guys. It's it's just a massive. It's the best form of entertainment for me in that sense. When it's done right, I just think it's awesome.
Yeah, to emphasize whoever you are in the ring, it's very much what I love to see. As a fan, I'm very much there of wanting them big characters and wanting that heat between each other, and it can work with people who are less character based, because I feel like they're very good sort of dynamic to have the opposites in together. I like to see how people work together in that situation of just because it would be so different to two characters working together, or two people that are more wrestler based working together. I like to see a mix of all of them. It's this is the thing. It's just it never gets boring. It never
No,
gets boring with how much is going on.
that's it. And like I said, diversity is key. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm obviously bigging up the characters and stuff like that, but that's not to besmirch the, just the normal, again, that word normal, but, just the people who just are pretty much themselves kind of thing, like Ospreay, Leon Slaters, guys like that. They're amazing at what they do. And I love seeing them on shows. But again, it's the diversity. If I just had a show full of those guys, I'd probably get bored very quickly. If I had a show full of characters, I'd probably get bored.
Yeah,
But yeah, you've
you
got to
want to
find.
make sure on a show, definitely. Got a little
Uh,
story about Liam Slater actually. I don't know if you saw the North photos or anything like that, but I actually did the body paint for him. He asked me like a few months in advance, is like, do you think you could do this? I'm having a big match with Liam Slater, and I'm looking to have maybe some body paint or something to just sort of show how big this match is to him and how much it sort of means to him. And that community feel that we have at PPW are straight away like, yeah, sure, if I'm free that day, I don't mind helping you out. And so yeah, that was little fun facts.
so yeah, that's and it was an awesome match. It was again, North is a very big promotion that I like to mention when I can, or I like to watch their stuff because I just think they're an amazing promotion as well. And I know a lot of the PPW guys are kind of turning up on there, or being behind the scenes helping out. Obviously, Liam's was champion up there. Obviously, Leon's working. Yeah, just I think it's another place for PPW guys to get more experience and just absolutely smash it. I mean, Tidal, True Grit, you got Spectrum, you got Pursuit, Rise. Yeah, I think it's amazing all the avenues you guys have got now.
Yeah, and it feels great that it feels like there is a movement where sometimes we are moving together, and it's like turning up to shows and just seeing a lot of the PPW gang backstage. It's just it's amazing to see everybody progressing in their own ways, or like helping out in their own ways. I always look forward to even the road trips. We usually like to have road trips with like William Valor or Jay Vertigo. And even in them moments, it's just that great bonding experience of whoever's in the car with us at that point. It's just that for me is just as much as part of the wrestling experience and the actual getting there and being on the show itself. It's you're making friends along the way with it, and I'm so grateful for being in such a healthy, like positive community with it.
That's it. I mean, yeah, obviously road trips. I know it's a massive part of. When I speak to the guys that've been in the business for years, that's one of the things that always comes up. It's like the road trips. Traveling, for hours on end in cars. Arguing over music playlists, sharing stories. And for you guys, it must be awesome as well, because it is a pivotal part of the whole wrestling experience. Have you got like a set? Have you got set travel buddies, or do you mix it up, or just one person drive?
It's usually just a case of whoever's going up. Usually Vertigo will ask us if we're going to certain shows, like he likes to. We go to North together, and we've been to Rise together and Planet Wrestle. But it's the same with Valor as well. If William Valor's going, we might travel with him. But we have also travelled with people that we don't know so well. So for the Tidal show, we travelled with Franco from House of Pain. I've not met him personally before, but he was a really lovely guy, and I feel like the car was welcoming. You obviously have that sort of awkward feeling because you don't know each other, but I feel like everybody was trying to make that effort to speak to each other and get to know each other, which was really nice as well.
Well, that's it, because then you've all got one thing in common. You all love wrestling enough to go training 2, 3, 5 times a week, and and smash your body across, against the mat. So if no matter what other interests you've got, you've always got that one thing to talk about.
Yeah, and we've all got experiences with it at this point, especially if we're driving to a show as well. And it's like a lot of training schools know each other though as well. So I'm very aware of House of Pain. I think I've done one training session there in lockdown. Sticks was nice enough to like open it up to the small groups when all the things started clearing up a bit more and we could do things with the social distancing and whatnot. And we did actually do his study sessions online as well, which we found really useful. But it was nice talking to people online on that. So we are aware of each other's schools and things like that. And I know that Franco came down to PPW, and it just makes you comfortable knowing that the community is not just inside PPW, it is expanding and everybody's lovely outside of it as well. From what I've met after lockdown, everybody's been wonderful.
Well, that's it. I mean, obviously, PPW is kind of like your safety blanket. Everybody's there. But then, yeah, no matter where you go, I think you've all got that one common interest. You can all chat quite. And like I say, it's just British wrestling at the minute. It just seems like it's not just PPW. Just everywhere seems to be. It's positive. You all know British wrestling at the minute is probably the best it's been for a hell of a long time. And you guys are riding that wave at the minute. You guys are responsible for that, and you're going to reap the benefits of it for years to come, hopefully, kind of thing. And it's just, I think, yeah, everybody's kind of lifted. You're all standing on each other's shoulders to help each other out.
I've noticed that a lot of people that are making this movement happen, where it's a more positive movement, are the ones that have been in the toxic places themselves. I've got personal experience of being in the toxic places that have not been great for me, and I've even had my mental health damaged just before lockdown. So like I said, it was a reset button for me, just because of the old mentality of how things were. There was very much people at each other's throats, so there was whispers going on backstage, and I wasn't here for any of that. I thought, I want to be able to work with these people. I want to have a good bond with them, and I want us to grow together. It's not, I wasn't in it just for personal gain, and I'm still not in it for personal gain. I'm very happy to help elevate others, because we want this change in the community. We want it to be a better place for everyone. We want everyone to feel welcome, because at the end of the day, like we keep saying, we've all got that one same interest. We've all been a fan at some point, and we're all here for the love of wrestling. So let's keep the focus on that if we can't keep it on anything else.
I mean, at the end of the day as well, what you guys do, it's all about trust. You trust each other with your bodies. You've thrown each other around, and if that trust isn't there, it's got to be like a positive, trusting environment. Otherwise, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, it makes it more difficult when planning with people, or if you don't feel necessarily comfortable with them, it does make it harder to do. Which I know sometimes you can't help it with, like.
Oh, you're not going to get on with everybody. You can be professional, no,
but it's nice to at least try, and if you can't get it to the stage where you're nice, you're just professional and you do what you need to do. And I feel like it should just, as if it's running like a business when you're doing a show, it's very much you want to keep it professional, as if you're wanting it to be a job at some point as well, if you're wanting to do it full time. It's just a good mentality to have with how many people you're going to be working with.
Definitely. I've just clocked the time. We've gone over an hour, so I will start to sort of wrap it up. But whilst we're here, do you want anything you want to plug? Anything you want to plug your socials where people can come see what you do?
I would like to put a little bit of a future thing in. I've been talking to Planet Wrestle about, they've asked if I do more than just managing, and that I do wrestle, which I do. I'm more than a manager. The managing very much helped through little things like when I was in injury and stuff like that, but I do actually wrestle myself, and I can wrestle as a singles wrestler and tag wrestler. So we might be seeing something in the future there of me actually being in the ring, not just managing on the outside, which is exciting. And yeah, with the plugs, it's very much you just look for Freaky Felicia and I'll come up. You'll see my face paint on the profile pictures and the photos. I'm Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Obviously,
also TikTok as well, which I forgot.
Sorry, what was that last one?
TikTok as well. Completely forgot that I have that. It's very new still.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my head around it. I just use it for like random highlight videos or to big up shows that are coming up, kind of thing. But yeah, I probably got it like once a week, so it's very easy to forget TikTok at the minute. But I will get my head around it a bit more. But yeah, obviously, I'm going to mention you on Twitter and Instagram when I upload this. So if you're not already following Freaky, obviously please do so. Keep your eyes on what she's doing. It's awesome. The Freakshow's amazing, and yeah, I think you're going to see either Freaky and Axel or either one of them a lot more. I think your radius of exposure is expanding, and I think you guys will just be rolling in bookings in the next 12 months. So fingers crossed. But I'm pretty actually no, I don't need to cross my fingers. It's pretty much it's not a spoiler. It's a guarantee. No, thanks for taking the time to chat. It's been awesome. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Hit like, hit subscribe, do what you normally do. We will see you again very soon. I don't think this is going to be the last that we see of Freaky. Hopefully, I'm trying to talk her and Axel on to being on together, because I think that would be a very enjoyable show. So yeah, we will see you again very soon.